Good evening and welcome back to Prime of Midlife. It's Tuesday evening and this evening we are talking money. hmm Money and lack thereof, money and how to deal with it, and it's just a general chat because there's so much going on just now. Um, there's the headlines saying that the food inflation here has come down for the first time in a while, but it's still 16% food inflation. But it's come down from 17%. Isn't that fabulous? Really? So that's one thing, is that, um, you know, we're getting so many headlines. And just the whole reason my wee brain went there is they're talking about food inflation. It says one of the highest things that's gone up in price recently is processed potato products. That new fryer thing I've got that makes the fabulous chips. I will have real potatoes. I do not need processed food potatoes anymore. I am so pleased. So yeah, but that's seemingly one of the biggest price increases in the last month. So that's one part. Then you've got the fact that the mortgages here in the UK have gone up. I think a 2-year fixed rate is now over 6%, just over 6%, but it's over 6%. Pre-COVID, it was like less than 1%. So for somebody who has been looking, and maybe, they said there was a lot of people managed to save during COVID because they couldn't go out, they couldn't do that, so they managed to save. So let's say you're looking at buying your own property, young couple, and you've got your deposit, your 5% deposit, because you can get 95% mortgages here, and your house is like 150,000 or whatever, or even 200,000. I'm talking about my area, obviously not London, because um, but what would have cost you maybe £500 a month in repayments is now going to be probably over £1,000 per month repayments. And for many people, that's just not in the budget. So they're then looking at having to buy something less, which is still going to be way over what they budgeted for. So there's a lot of people that are just not able to buy. And then I'm thinking, well, what happens to the people who are on the mortgages just now, who are coming up to the end of their fixed rate, and all of a sudden their mortgage payments are going to double? And believe you me, their wages have not doubled. And like, how can you save? How can you cut your costs? Now, as a community, as a channel, we've all talked about cutting costs. We're doing things like different ways of shopping for reduced, stockpiling when things are on offer in the stores, growing some of your own food. Um, and something I thought of today was stop buying clothes. There's a lot of people who are used to every summer they buy new summer tops, every winter they buy new winter tops. If you don't need it, if you just want it, then don't get it. And there's a lot of people are going to have to start thinking like that. But if your mortgage is doubled, if your £500 a month payment has suddenly gone to £1,000 a month payment, and in that time the costs of food has more than doubled, the cost of fuel has gone up, the cost of energy is ridiculous. Where we used to look at saving money, we're not able to save the same way that we could before. We're not able to cut costs the same way we could. I mean, if you think about it, a lot of the time it would be like, for me, one of my biggest costs was switch off my immersion heater and don't have a bath every night. That was the simplest way of doing it. Um, but the cost of heating up my immersion heater maybe twice a week now is probably the same as it was when I was heating it 5 days a week before, or 7 days a week. So trying to reduce my cost there has not actually saved me any money. All it's done is kept me at the same level. Changing the brands that we use for shopping. A lot of people, mine is Heinz tomato ketchup, although I've got over that now. Mine used to be Heinz tomato ketchup. A lot of people are like, it has to be Hellman's for mayonnaise. Trust me, until you learn to make your own, that then all bets are off. Which I have not done for a long while, so I maybe need to actually do that. But yeah, people who use branded things, that makes a big difference when the cheaper brands are still cheaper. If you've got the branded goods have gone up £1, but so's the cheaper ones, you're only just sitting in the same place. So how do we manage to save? And if we can't, then there's going to be a lot of people losing their homes. Now, because there's going to be so many people losing their homes, there's going to be a lot of people looking for rented accommodation. A lot of private landlords are getting out of rented accommodation, but the average rent has already gone up 10% in a year. So rental prices are a lot of the time a lot more than mortgage payments. And there's been such a dearth of social housing built in the UK over the last few years. There just has not been anywhere near what is required. There's not been anywhere near what is required for many, many years, especially in the smaller properties. All your developers are looking for your luxury 4 or 5 developments, 4 or 5 bedroom developments. And the only smaller houses they'll put in is the legal requirement for affordable homes. And even then they'll try and get out of that. And if they've got a section 75, like you've got to put on a road junction, they'll try and get out of that later on. So housing is going to become a big problem. Although there's also the question of what happens to the places that are empty just now. There's a lot of empty homes, but there's also a lot of empty stores. Like how many Debenham stores are empty? I just saw a report there about a number of shopping centres that are empty. Now they've been sold, don't know what they're getting used for, but surely the government can do something about okay, we could use that, we could redo that for housing, and if there is something like that, if something's been left to go derelict, because let's be honest, something big like that, they want it to go derelict so that they don't have to, so that they can just demolish it and build what they want. I know I've seen that happen a few times. People have allowed buildings or units to go derelict so that the council eventually puts a demolition notice on them, and then they've got free and clear to go and build the luxury development of flats that they wanted to build in the first place, but the council wouldn't let them. So there's all that, and you're like, okay, so yeah, sorry, that was off on a tangent, but it still comes down to there's going to be people losing their homes, because trying to save money just now is so difficult. Because even if you manage to cut your costs, for a lot of us, all we're doing is standing still. We're not actually saving any money. We're just keeping the same percentage of spend that we had before. So where's the positive in this? There has to be one. There's always a positive somewhere. Not quite sure where it is at the moment. However, at the moment, I am lucky enough that my mortgage is not due to change anytime soon. So I can cut my costs. I can put money away. Not as much as I could have 2 years ago, granted, but I can still put some money away. And that old phrase, take care of the pennies and the pounds will take care of themselves. I just have to cross my fingers and hope that that works. But certainly, as I said last night, my food shopping, changing the way I've done that has made a difference. Accepting that things like home decor is not needed. It's just not needed. I don't need pictures to hang on the wall. I don't need units. I don't need pretty stools or pretty cushion covers. If what I have is functional, then that'll do. I don't need new bedspreads and things because I have ones that are absolutely in perfectly good condition, even although they are many years old. And excuse me. I remember I found some paperwork at mum and dad's, and there was a will dating back to 18 something, I think. And the person in this will left 2 linen bed sheets to her sister. That's how important it was. And we have just become such a throwaway culture that you're like, yeah, we just go and buy them every year sort of thing. So that's my next sort of focus is, what do I not need? And as I say, I don't need home decor. I don't need new bed sheets because the ones I have are perfectly good at the moment. And remember, years ago they used to, put them in the middle and sew the seam up the middle again if they were getting worn where you slept. And it just is all these things that we used to get, these, the gadgets. Do we need the gadgets? No, we don't. Unless it's an air fryer, because they save us so much money compared to an oven. Comes to an air fryer, all bets are off. But yeah, we don't need a newer phone. If we've got a phone that works for us just now, we don't need a newer one. We don't need a contract with unlimited this, that, and the next thing if we never use it all. So yeah, I think probably tonight, because I've got a quiet night for tonight, I will be sitting with my little list going, what do I not need? So what would I normally buy that I'm not buying? And actually take that as that's me saving that money, because last year I would have bought that. And if you have the money there, stash it somewhere. And that's your savings pot started. Even if it's only a couple of pound for something silly, start a wee stash. Get yourself a pretty pot and start a stash. Because I don't think it's going to get any easier in the next year or so, money-wise, for so many of us. So have a think, have a smug about how well you've done so far, and have a think of where you can change just little bits, because the way I see it, I work damn hard. I am not living on nothing. I do not expect to be cold in the winter. I do not expect to be eating only enough to keep body and soul together. I expect to have a reasonable standard of living. And I also expect to have that when I retire. So I need to be planning for that. So plans need to be made. So I am off, me and my big notepad. Remember my big huge notepad. My notepad and I are off to make some plans. So I will catch you later.